Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Today, I want to talk to you about college, something that seems very trivial nowadays, especially to young people that are just exiting high school. There are two main arguments that are presented when talking about this topic, about going to college in general. There's the people that obviously encourage you to go to college, the very traditional, well, I guess now it's a traditional route, a more modern route, but a lot of people are starting to question it, right? And the kids that are somewhat rebellious when they are younger tend to question it a bit more and want to know if it is the right decision for them, right? They start to think, why should a 17 to 18-year-old be forced, one, out of their home if they're going into another state, and two, to go 40 to 50 to $60,000 in debt if they don't have scholarships, and they're just going to get a degree in a job market that is dwindling and doing something that could pretty much enslave you for the rest of your life if you are not able to think critically about your decisions in life. So that's what I want to talk about today. And towards the end, I will go over responses to this question on Twitter because I posted a question about this a few weeks back and thought it would be cool to see other people's perspectives. So if you want me to run through that, stick around for later in the video. But in terms of going to college right out of high school, that is something that I did. And I'm personally a guy that likes to question everything, right? Everything that seems even a bit off or just doesn't make sense to me, I will refuse to do it. I'll find another way and I'll make it work, which eventually I ended up doing. But in terms of going to college, I really wanted to get a degree that would allow me to get a high-paying job. So something like neuroscience or anesthesiology or something in the medical field. But I swayed away from that because I knew how much schooling I would have to go to, like 8 to 12 years to actually make that happen. And then starting to think, is this something that I actually want to do the rest of my life? I started envisioning the lifestyle that would come with working in the medical field, right? My dad worked in the medical field. My sister works in the medical field. My brother's going into the medical field. So I understand what they do on a day-to-day basis. And that just out of nowhere didn't seem very appealing to me. So I didn't go that route. I started with marketing. And keep in mind, I went right after high school. I did get scholarships, but I still ended up about $20,000 in debt. And keep in mind, this is a full ride scholarship, okay? So that is something to keep in mind, is that even if you get a full ride scholarship, you may still have debt to pay back if you're stupid like me. But I ended up going in for marketing, and that led to me living in the dorms, the business dorms. And now this I wouldn't take back for the world. That is well worth 20K because one, my roommate is out there right now doing dishes. I met him on that same floor. A lot of my friends that stuck with me while I lived here came from that floor in the dorms. Now, all of this comes with the caveat that you have to be willing to put yourself out there and be social, right? I think that is a huge benefit of college, is the social nature of it. Because if you are, let's say you just go straight into a job and it's a small company and you only have like 5 coworkers, right? Now imagine trying to build a future with those people. You can't really make friends there, if that makes sense. So you have to go a different route to actually make that part of your life work, to either find someone that you'll get into a relationship with or just meet a lifelong friend, et cetera, et cetera. I feel like college is a good way of just, one, forcing you out of your home and encouraging you to meet new people and get introduced to a culture that you've never really experienced before. So that's definitely a pro for going to college. Now, the next thing that college did when I was living in the dorms was give me that first sense of independence that I wanted in my life, right? I wanted to get out of the house. I wanted to be thrown into a place where I can start doing the things that I've envisioned myself doing on a day-to-day basis. And that's exactly what it allowed me to do. I started up a YouTube channel way back then, and that didn't work out, but I had the time to try that, and I had the location to try that, and just being able to really do whatever I want outside of class without any major responsibility in my life is something that I'm very grateful for, because I wouldn't be here if I hadn't tried so many different things and failed at so many different things, right? Now, if you're not in already financially good situation, then I would consider rethinking it, because one, I had some scholarships. My dad helped me out with some of it. I worked a side job for some of it, but I was kind of careless with my money, right? I was free to explore this entire new city on my own with my friends. I wanted to experience everything I could. I went out, I partied. I would just walk around all day on campus and do weird shit. And I would work on my laptop trying to build another side income along the way. So the sense of independence is also a heavy pro for going to college. Now, the next thing that is heavily argued, but I didn't really take advantage of, is the networking aspects of it, right? If you go and you join, let's say, a fraternity, you are usually surrounded by people that are financially well off already and already have those connections for making more money in the future, right? So if there's a finance guy that has a multi-million-dollar net worth father, getting in with that guy, of course, not like in a bad way, just like being his friend and being a good dude and hanging out with him, you have those connections and you can learn a lot from those people. But me being a not very social guy from the start did not help that at all. I didn't network with anyone. I made my friends from my dorm room, and that's it. That's all I did. So the networking is a pro if you are open to that, right? I was told the entire time that, network is your net worth, and you need to network during college, but I didn't know how to do that. And that wasn't my priority. And as a young kid, I can tell you this as much as I want. People can tell me to network as much as they want to because they believe it's important, but that's not going to make me do it, right? I know myself more than they know me and what I'm actually going to do with that information. So if you know that you are not a very social person, going to college may not be the right thing for you if you aren't willing to put yourself out there. Because knowing just the basics of self-improvement, you're not going to turn into a social guy just by paying to go to college, right? You have to be willing to put yourself out there, and that's not going to happen just because you're going to say, I need to put myself out there. If you're not that guy from the get-go, you need to work on that first and just start talking to people and make sure you can do it, and make sure that that $40,000 investment to go and network and be social is worth it to you. All right, so the next thing that I want to talk about, probably the last talking point for it, is the women or the men, right? When you sign up for college, if you're a guy and you sign up for college, you're thinking about the women. Like, don't lie to me. You're 100% thinking about the women and having fun with them, right? No doubt. But you have to understand the position that college puts young women into, right? It puts them into a culture that is fueled by drinking, partying, not really giving a shit about any form of values. So when you're going there specifically for the women, and if you want to just go and have fun and have casual sex, that's not a problem. Like, go ahead and do it. But if you're going to look for a lifelong partner, it's probably not going to be the 10 out of 10 sorority chick that you see walking down the side of the road. Like, it's just not gonna happen, right? Especially with how they're conditioned during college. It's just not gonna happen. So before we dive into the actual tweets and replies and some of the insights that other people gave, I just want to finish by saying that it's really up to you, right? I do feel like going to college has many, many benefits. And I do kind of like how the 40K investment is kind of just tossed under the rug. Like, almost everyone I've talked to says that they don't regret going to college, right? Everyone learned something either about themselves or they achieved something during college that they couldn't have at another point in their life. So overall, I do recommend going to college, but you have to treat it for what it is. It is not a worthy education, especially if you plan on doing something outside of any of the majors relating to that, right? Like, if you go into graphic design, how fucking easy is that to learn on YouTube or somewhere else first? It is extremely easy to learn that online, and you can probably learn everything you would ever learn in a college course in 6 months just by going through YouTube, right? And they're not going to teach you how to land clients or how to build your own audience because none of them are doing it, right? If you take a freelancing class, the professor isn't a freelancer. How the fuck does he know? He doesn't, right? You have to learn from people that have walked the path that you want to walk. And you are probably, if you have big ambitions and big dreams, I guarantee you are not going to find that person in a college setting. So with all of that factored in, you need to do very due diligence. Watch more of these videos. Listen to people that you trust on this topic and make a very careful decision before you go that far into debt. Now, what I didn't say is that I ended up dropping out in my 5th year, right? So I would technically be considered a failure by society, but that is by no means true because I value self-education and other things that help me succeed in a world that is growing more and more and more online. So with that, let's hop into the Twitter stuff. I want to show you some of their replies. All right, welcome to my Twitter. I asked this question a bit ago. Well, I think that's like 10 days. Asked this question 10 days ago. Let's settle this once and for all. Should you go to college? Explain why or why not. And just so everyone knows, whenever I ask these questions on Twitter, I'm probably going to be making a YouTube video out of it. I just asked another one. Look at this really quick because it's kind of going crazy. I asked one, does smoking weed make you a loser? This is for research. So this one got a lot more. Holy shit. This one might pop off. But yeah, I'm going to be making a video about this one too. So subscribe if you want to see that. But back to this one. We already talked about this. My views: went to college, had a blast, dropped out, was 20K in debt, got a job because of self-education, left because of self-education, yada yada. If you want to find this, you can just literally type this exactly into the search and you can go there. But let's look at some other people. So a bunch of people on here I really enjoy. So on some of them, like Andy, Zach, I love these guys. I've interacted with them multiple times. I encourage you to follow them if you want to have a good Twitter experience, because the whole self-improvement side of Twitter is a blessing for many people. So, Andy, depends on what you're going for. Can't be a heart surgeon learning from YouTube. That said, I would have been much better off not getting my degree and MBA. I could have invested that time and money building a business, and even if I lost it all, I would have come out ahead. So that's 100% true. Like, you can't be a heart surgeon learning from YouTube. So another reason to think deeply and carefully about what you actually want to do in your future, and that is becoming increasingly more difficult as a young person, but it's got to happen. Take that time to reflect. So Zach had a blast, learned from his peers far more than his professors, left my last semester before I could graduate, so no degree. Sounds the same as me. I got far less out than most, don't regret a thing. So again, similar story, like people going, having a blast, and even if they drop out, even if they don't really take that education aspect seriously, then it still ends up being a great time. Yes, but go cheap and build a business in your spare time. If you're a motivated self-starter that will succeed at business, you'll have a thriving business and no debt when you leave. If you're not, you'll have a degree and plenty of decent career options. I like this reply. Get paid writing, good shit. And of course, if you want to read more of these, we definitely won't be able to go through all of them. Come and search for this tweet and see what everyone else is saying. Here's a great one from Steve. Once you know exactly what you're aiming to get out of it, that's key. Don't use it as a route to make up your mind. That's what I did. I don't regret it, but I could have gone about it in a much better way. College is no place to try out things that happen after college. Very relevant. And then, okay, so this one is one that comes up quite a bit. Unless it's lost, STEM or medical, don't go. It's not bad, but opportunity cost is too high. So these are good degrees to go into, very specified, and something that you can't learn online, right? That's a common recurring theme. Shout out my boy Corey. As I talked about earlier, Corey is one of my good friends. I met him in the dorm room, and we have conflicting ideas on many things. College is kind of one of them. I feel like we agree in most places, but Corey loved college. So my boy Kyle, one of the guys that got me into freelancing. If you want to go into a professional career, of course, if you want to go into business, you might meet some connections, but overall it suggests it's better to learn by experience and self-study. Completely agree. Same thing from Lux, doctor, engineer, or lawyer, don't go. You want to become an entrepreneur, or another one, learn a trade, which is very underrated right now and very high paying. If you want to become a plumber, technician, auto mechanic, etc., there's always going to be a job for you, and you can start your own physical business with that while learning online or doing whatever you want. We got Kyla. Wasn't for her. I remember some of these too. Missed out on social aspects, but wouldn't have met certain people, wouldn't be as far along, wouldn't have met me. So another great perspective. So the common theme here is that everyone is being nuanced here, which is actually very, very, very fucking surprising for Twitter. Usually people are just like, no, don't go, it's a waste of time, or yes, go, or else you're an idiot. So I'm loving the nuance here. If you want to go through more of these, feel free. But very similar ideas keep coming up, right? Ones that we talked about before. So again, be very careful. Go if you want to. Don't go to make up your mind. Go to reap the benefits and have a great time and experience new things. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this video. I had a good time doing it. I want to post more of these. If you came from Twitter, you know I'm a Twitter guy by heart. That's what I like to do. I'm not a huge YouTube guy because I never really knew what to post. And so now I'm just going to be riffing on random topics like this one and giving some advice in monologue form for things that I can give advice on. So if you enjoyed this video, one, like and subscribe, as everyone says, but two, I have a community called Modern Mastery HQ. If you want to check that out and possibly join it, there's so much good shit in there, much deeper than the value you're going to find on something like Twitter or YouTube. Check that first link in the description, and I'll see you inside there, and we can grow collectively.